Hello friends, in this session we discuss about hookworms. There are two main hookworms which infect human beings, Ankylostoma duodenale and Necator americanus. Ankylostoma duodenale is known as Old World hookworm and Necator americanus is known as New World hookworm. Ankylostoma duodenale does not occur in the USA, it occurs in the Old World countries like Africa, etc., while Necator americanus occurs in America and other parts of the world. Ankylos means hooked and stoma means mouth. Necator means murderer. So ankylostoma means organism with a hooked mouth. Two anthrophilic species which infect human beings, that is Ankylostoma duodenale and Necator americanus. Two zoophilic species are known to us which can infect human beings accidentally, Ankylostoma brasiliensis and Ankylostoma caninum. Hookworms, they generally cause anemia in human beings, and the zoophilic parasites, they cause creeping eruptions in human beings. The habitat of the adult worms is jejunum and less commonly in the duodenum and ileum. First, Ankylostoma duodenale, the Old World hookworm. In this topic, we will have a look at the habitat, the morphology, the epidemiology, life cycle, clinical syndromes, lab diagnosis, treatment and control and prevention. The habitat of hookworm, the adult worms live in the jejunum, less commonly in the duodenum and ileum. Morphology of the adult worm, the anterior end is bent slightly dorsally, hence they are called hookworm. The females are 15 mm long, posterior end tapering with no bursa, and the males are a little smaller than them, they are about 10 mm long, the posterior end expanded in an umbrella-like pattern. Here you can see a figure in which the female and the male worms are shown. Note that in the male worm, at the posterior end has an umbrella-like pattern. The eggs of hookworm, they can be 60 micrometer long to 40 micrometer wide. They are oval and elliptical, and in a single day as many as 15,000 to 20,000 eggs can be laid. They are colorless, that is non-bile stained. The eggs, they have a thin translucent hyaline shell membrane, and they have a clear space between the egg shell and the segmented ovum. So outside the egg shell, then a transparent layer, translucent layer, and then the segmented ovum. The segmented ovum generally has 4 blastomeres when the eggs are freshly passed in stool. As time passes, the number of blastomeres will increase, 8, 16, 32, etc. And after 12 hours or so, larva can be seen in the egg. The eggs of hookworm, they float in saturated solution of common salt. Epidemiology में hookworms are distributed worldwide. In transmission, the third stage larva or the filariform larva is the infective form for human beings. It penetrates human beings through the skin. Rarely it may also be acquired by ingestion. If it is ingested by human beings, then from the buccal mucosa it will enter the circulation to continue the heart-lung migration. Now this is the life cycle of hookworm. When the eggs are laid in the adult worms, they will fertilize. Eggs are laid in feces. The rhabdiform larva will be hatched from the eggs. The rhabdiform larva in environment, they will convert to filariform larva. The filariform larva, they are infective for human beings. They will penetrate the skin. From there, it will go into the circulation. From there to the lungs, to the trachea. They will enter the pharynx and they will be swallowed into the small intestine, and in the small intestine adults will be formed which will lay down egg. So here, after penetration of the skin, the worm undergoes heart-lung migration cycle, in which through the circulation it goes to the heart and the lungs. This heart-lung migration is a part of its growing process. Eggs in the soil, when they are released, they have 4 blastomeres. Now we are having a look at the life cycle in little detail. The eggs released with 4 blastomeres, the warm, moist soil. First stage rhabdiform larva will be hatched. From that, 2 molting will take place in another 2-3 days, and then the third stage larva, that is filariform larva, will be formed, which is 500 to 600 micrometers long. It is the non-feeding stage and lives up to 5 weeks. The filariform larva will enter the host through the skin, human skin. They cast off their sheath and penetrate the human skin through the feet, the hands and the buttocks commonly. Here in this photograph, you can see a photograph of a foot in which the larvae of the hookworms can be seen. After entering the circulation, migration and location takes place. The filariform larva, they move from the skin to the subcutaneous tissue. from there to the lymph, to the venous circulation, to the right heart, pulmonary circulation, capillaries, from there to the alveoli, to the bronchi, trachea, larynx, then through the epiglottis. They are swallowed and enter the esophagus. The third moulting takes place in the esophagus, then the fourth moulting takes place in the intestine. In the intestine, they grow up into adults. They attach to the mucosa of the small intestine by their mouth parts. And after several weeks, sexual maturity takes place and fertilization takes place, giving rise to eggs, and then the cycle is repeated. So you can see here that the worm has, after entering the circulation, it has gone through the heart-lung migration cycle, which is a part of its growing process in which moulting takes place. In case of Necator americanus, the heart-lung migration is compulsory. It cannot grow ahead in its life cycle without the heart-lung migration. But in case of Ankylostoma duodenale, even without the heart-lung migration, it can move ahead in its life cycle. If it enters through the buccal cavity, then from the buccal mucosa it will enter the circulation. Clinical syndrome में less than 5 eggs are released per milligram of feces, then it leads to light infection, and if more than 20 to 25 eggs are released per milligram of feces, it leads to heavy infection. The larvae of hookworm, they can also produce clinical effects, and the adult worms will also produce clinical effects. The larvae can lead to ground edge or ankylostoma dermatitis when they enter the circulation through the skin. They can lead to Loeffler syndrome while passing through the lungs, in which minute hemorrhages are there, pneumonitis can occur, fever can occur. The adult worms will lead to abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting and diarrhea, and they will lead to blood loss. The blood loss is more severe in case of Ankylostoma duodenale. Chronic blood loss will lead to iron deficiency anemia, listlessness, pallor and growth retardation. Here you can see the figure in which it shows the hookworms in the intestinal lumen. Anemia caused by hookworm occurs because of chronic blood loss. The adult worms can live for 1 to 3 years in the adults, in the human being intestine. The Ankylostoma duodenale, it sucks blood about 150 to 250 microliter per day. One worm will suck about 150 to 250 microliter per day in Ankylostoma duodenale, while in Necator americanus, little less amount of blood is sucked by one worm, 30 microliter per day. Occult blood test will be positive. Hypochromic microcytic anemia will be there. Additionally, B12 folic acid deficiency will also occur, and it may lead to macrocytic anemia. What are the causes of anemia in case of hookworm infection? There are various reasons which will contribute to the occurrence of anemia in hookworm infection, like the worm sucks intestinal epithelial cells and blood. It searches for new areas and leaves the raw bleeding areas behind. The worm secretions, they have an anticoagulant effect. Then B12 and folic acid absorption is also deficient. Iron absorption also becomes deficient, and iron stores are depleted, and dyshomeopoiesis will occur. So these are various reasons which will contribute to the occurrence of anemia. In lab diagnosis of hookworm infection, direct examination can be done. In direct examination, a wet mount can be prepared from the stool sample, and you can see the eggs of hookworm, and occasionally even the adult worms can be seen in the stool sample. Concentration techniques can be used when required. If the concentration of the parasites is low in the stool sample and the patient has clinical features, you can use concentration techniques. If delay in examination occurs, then the hatched larva can also be seen in the stool. Stool culture can be done by Harda-Mori filter paper strip method or by charcoal culture method. Eggs of hookworm we have seen earlier. They have 4 blastomeres. They have a thin translucent hyaline shell membrane and a clear space between the eggshell and the segmented ovum. Indirect investigations can also be performed, like occult blood test, which is positive. Anemia is also a suggestive feature, and the blood picture will also suggest. For treatment, mebendazole, parenteral palmate, albendazole, and hematinics are used. Rarely blood transfusion can be required in severe cases. For control of the infection, sewage disposal should be proper. Wearing shoes in endemic areas in education is important. These are differences between Ankylostoma duodenale and Necator americanus. The morphological differences between the male worms, the female worms, the eggs, filariform larva, and the clinical aspects. The male worms are larger in case of Ankylostoma duodenale. Even the female worms are larger, and the bursa in the males are tripartite with 13 rays. Filariform larvae are longer, 720 micrometer, and the clinical aspects may be pulmonary reactions are more, and peripheral eosinophilia is more in case of Ankylostoma duodenale compared to Necator americanus. With this we end the session. Thank you.